Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
For this is what the Sovereign Lord says.
Why do you need prophets to tell people who you are and what you want?
If you can justify everything that the God of the Bible has done, then you can justify any of your behavior.
A lot of this mentality is trickling into what is now mainstream right-wing Christianity.
I am capable of empathy greater than this God of the Bible.
This is a Bible that they tell kids. This is the good Lord. This is the good book. He is fantasizing about murder, mass murder.
Head over to sacrilegiousdiscourse.com right now to find out how to leave us a review or support us on Patreon.
Husband!
Wife!
Do you know what we're doing today?
Well, we have taken a bit of a break.
We have.
If you listen to the previous episode that we said thank you to, that explains some of it. The other part was I was sick.
You were sick, and we had some shit to take care of all at the same time.
Yes.
And it's the 4th of July still outside.
It is, which, just for the record, and I think we say this most years, which the fact that I can say years in this podcast is kind of cool. But if you're not aware, fireworks are very detrimental to wildlife and pets and people with PTSD. I prefer it to support drone shows or not at all. Mm-hmm. One of the two. Mm-hmm. So,
but we live in Dayton, Ohio,
where they are going off next door in multiple next doors.
They are out in the street.
It's fireworks.
Our street. They are out in our street that we live on. They are.
Yes. So
the best question that we can ask will be, will the mess be there in the morning?
Yeah. So if there are fireworks going off in the background, we apologize. But that's...
Well, I don't apologize. It ain't my fucking fault.
Well, I apologize.
I acknowledge that it might be difficult listening.
Again, if you would have listened to the last episode, there's reasons why we don't have a soundproof room to record in. But since we don't, you might hear some fireworks.
I mean, we thought about moving down to the basement again just for this, but it wouldn't hide the sound of the fireworks.
Yeah. So. Honestly, it's easier for us to do the episode. Like, we don't have to plan. We just jump over here and do the episode. But
all of that, notwithstanding, do you know what we're doing today, honey?
I forget. Oh, actually. Okay, so okay. Go ahead and tell me.
We're doing a Q&A, not on Saturday, and we're covering Matthew, Little Maddie, chapters 19 and 20.
Okay, long overdue.
Long overdue. Do you even remember what happened in those chapters? I don't,
so I'm actually kind of looking forward to the refresher.
Oh my God, this will be fun. This will be fun.
All right, let's do this.
Okie dokie. All right, let's hop into Little Maddie, chapter 19 and 20 Q&A.
Let's do it.
Okay, chapter 19 teaches about Jesus's take on marriage, divorce, riches, and discipleship. And chapter 20, Jesus teaches us about grace, greatness, and service. That's all there is. Ready? The end.
Not the end.
No.
I can tell you that right now.
Okay. Yeah. No, I have many.
Because we had thoughts in the episodes. I remember vaguely.
We did, and I even wrote down some questions from the chat. Yeah. All right. So let's do a little bit about chapter 19.
Sure.
First, I said he teaches about marriage, divorce, and celibacy was in there as well.
Okay. Yeah.
This was where Jesus is leaving Galilee. He's headed towards the coast of Judea and Jerusalem. And he's followed by great multitudes, and he heals some of them. And then while that's all happening, the Pharisees attempt to, quote unquote, trap him and test him. Okay, verse 3 says, some Pharisees came to him to test him. They asked, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any and every reason? So we had some thoughts immediately. Yeah. And somebody in the chat, I believe Polly, pointed out, wasn't it common for the rabbis to question each other,
there was a discussion about they would discuss theological issues.
So this isn't testing him abnormal, and trapping him and trying to get a gotcha. No, Matthew, calm your tits. No. Historically, the question itself wasn't weird in any way whatsoever. For them to come up and say, hey, you're a teacher. we acknowledge this, and it's kind of actually even respectful that we're coming up to talk to you about this at all.
The feeling I'm getting, though, is that the Jesus movement was a little bit more like contentious. They were very contentious.
Right.
So
the Jesus movement was contentious, but they want to make it seem like it was the Jewish rabbis not in the movement that were the gotchas.
Right.
And that's where I'm going with this, is that they were like, no, actually, we recognize you are a teacher.
Right.
We recognize, you sit down to teach. We have talked about that in previous. So we're doing the thing that we do, which is, hey, we're going to ask where you stand on some of these things, which I will actually get into some of the questions that they ask here momentarily.
Sure.
But they commonly questioned and debated each other on Sabbath rules, purity laws, divorce, oaths, taxes, resurrection, and Messiah expectations. None of this was anything they were not talking about amongst themselves.
Yeah.
Jesus was not exceptional in this.
Sure.
They weren't, again, calm your tits, Matthew. They were not doing a gotcha.
Well, except that Jesus has kind of refused to take part in this up until now.
Right.
Right.
Jesus is the problem here.
Yeah.
Not the guys questioning him for being the problem.
Maybe Jesus was a narcissist.
I think Jesus might have been a narcissist, given that his dad is a dick. That tracks.
Got a bit of a God complex.
So what I'm trying to get at here is that the argument, the questioning itself, wasn't disrespectful. It was literally how Judaism worked.
Sure. Yeah.
That's what all of the Mishnahs, the Midrash.
Oh, yeah.
The Midrash.
Right.
That's what all of those are about. Them
sorting through their religious
sorting
ideas.
through and tossing ideas and like, hey, this is what we've agreed upon up till now. When this comes up, this is what we think about.
Well, and they still do it. I mean, we were looking through, when we were doing the Jewish stories, we were looking through some other storybooks. And actually that one that we had, there were stories up until, and that was an older book, but up until in the 1940s and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's still something that goes on.
Yes.
They still
toss.
deal with their religion.
Which I love.
Basis.
Like, it's not done. It's a forever evolving, it's a living tradition.
Right.
Much like language. A living language constantly reinvents itself and creates new words like LOL.
Yeah.
Or, as Kid likes to say, ruffle.
Right.
And, so a rabbi becoming famous because he interprets Torah differently, that's definitely going to attract a lot of questions and a lot of attention, and a lot of the rabbis, the leaders, the teachers are going to come and be like, hey, let's do what we do.
Right. Let's sort this out.
And, you seem not just like to have opinions, but to have like really fucking wackadoodle ones, which normally might not be an issue, except that you have garnered quite the following, my good sir.
Right.
What say you about these things? So Matthew wants readers to think that the Pharisees are villains.
Sure.
And so he's portraying, and by he, again, we've already said multiple times, but the writers of Matthew.
Right.
So Matthew is portraying them as these mustache-twirling evil villains who are out to get Jesus. But it's like, no, actually, they were doing what they do. And nothing weird, nothing to see here. Right?
Yeah.
Historically, this looks like a perfectly ordinary rabbinic debate. So I really appreciate that question was brought up, because we can know that. We can know that this is what the rabbis do.
Yeah.
But then to apply it, no, actually.
Well, it kind of reframes when they were questioning him about the miracles and stuff, too. Because that would have been like, well, show us. I mean, if you can do miracles.
They weren't attacking him.
Right.
They were like doing what they do to each other.
Right.
Why wouldn't they do it to him?
If you're making a claim, great. Let's sort this out and figure this out, right?
Maybe they were assholes about it, but the action in and of itself was not weird. And we don't know whether they were assholes about it.
Yeah, and the only word we can take for
do know is that Jesus was an asshole.
the only word we can take is from the Bible.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's our main, and Christians' main source of information about this is the fucking Bible.
Right.
And obviously that's going to be a skewed point of view.
Yeah. So I really appreciate that this was re-mentioned and re-brought up in our discussion to reframe how we take these gospels.
Yeah.
These gospels are not the gospel.
Because
You know what I mean?
contextually in a
Yes.
Jewish tradition, this is not abnormal.
And we should continue to remember again and again that just because this is what these people are saying happened doesn't mean that that's the way it went down.
Right.
And again, I can know that, but to actually, oh yeah, these guys did come up and question him, but that's not weird.
Right.
That's actually normal.
I think the beginning of understanding is saying, I don't have to take this Bible's word for it.
Mm-hmm.
And humans wrote it.
Yeah.
Like, if you can acknowledge those two things. And look, that doesn't mean you have to lose your faith if you're a Christian either.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of building your faith up, if you are a Christian, should involve getting the most correct information.
Yeah.
Right?
And the Pharisees were not bad guys.
So understand that humans wrote the fucking book because they did. Mm-hmm. And then understand that humans can be fallible because they are.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
Yeah.
You know, and then draw whatever conclusions you conclude. But understand that this is humans. These are human beings.
And this
writing
wasn't a
this fucking
gotcha.
book.
This
Right.
was not a gotcha.
No.
And that was what I took from this.
Right.
Okay, but moving on, let's talk about the questions themselves. So now that we know that them asking Jesus was like actually normal, like to be expected.
Yeah.
So at that time period, there were two famous divinity and philosophical schools among the Jews.
Yeah.
One was called Shammai and one was called Hillel.
Okay.
Okay. So what they were doing was, and I'll tell you what those are in a second, but what they were doing was walking up to Jesus and saying, hey, you're a teacher. You've garnered a large following. Not all we agree with, but we need to find out.
Yeah.
Which school of thought do you belong to?
Sure.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
Okay. So on the question of divorce, the school of Shammai was very strict. It maintained that a man could not legally put away his wife except for sexual immorality, aka whoredom.
Got it.
If bitch fucked around, she's out. Okay.
Okay.
So he can't just say, I'm tired of your ugly nagging face. Too bad. You're married forever.
Obviously,
Okay?
the woman can't divorce because that was.
Oh yeah, she wasn't a human.
So the guy's free to do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah. But if she fucks somebody else, she's out. Her pussy be tainted.
Got
okay?
it. Yeah.
So very strict.
Okay.
Okay. Now the school of Hillel, taught by Hillel the Elder.
Okay.
Okay. He taught that a man might put away his wife for a multitude of other causes, as well as when she did not find grace in his sight, i.e., when he saw that another woman pleased him.
Wow.
Yeah. So he could say, I'm tired of your ugly fucking nagging face. Get the fuck out of here. I'm done with that sweet, sweet pussy.
I mean, look, that today anybody can divorce anybody for any reason for the most part.
Right.
Right. I mean, there are different laws in different states in the United States, but generally speaking, divorce is allowed. Right. And so that line, it's phrased differently, but it is somewhat more in line with how we treat divorce today, in that you can divorce for a multitude of reasons.
Right.
Now,
This
was a very male-oriented version of it.
That's not what this was about.
No, yeah.
This was about protecting a man's right to morally fuck whom he want to fuck.
Sure.
This was not about...
That's what I was getting to. It was.
Yeah.
This is not that, but in the way that it reads more like the secular version that we have today, insofar as it's not.
Right. So Shammai, even though it was stricter, would have been, ironically, more protective of women and their children.
Sure, because of the times.
Because of the times.
Yeah.
Hillel being less restrictive, more flexible, more compassionate, more practical, more adapted law to ordinary people, was actually more harmful to women and their children, because he could just toss them.
People when you should say men.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
So the Hillel school interpreted Deuteronomy chapter 24, which is, where the rules about divorce were originally stated. Right. It interpreted them very broadly. A husband could divorce for almost any serious dissatisfaction. And some later traditions exaggerate this into burning dinner. those scholars
Wow.
debate whether that caricature actually reflects Hillel accurately. But I thought that was funny. This bitch cannot even fucking cook. Her bread tastes like shit. I'm so done with her. So when the Pharisees are asking, is it lawful to divorce for any cause?
Yeah.
What they were actually doing was saying, to which school of thought do you subscribe? They were,
Yeah.
it's a legitimate ask.
Sure.
Because these were the two schools of thought.
Yeah.
So they were basically like, today it would be tantamount to walking up to somebody and saying, are you liberal or conservative?
Sure.
It's not necessarily a trap. It's not a gotcha. It's trying to understand where he sits so that they can even start the questioning or the debate.
And I do this in conversations with people who are religious all the time. Like, I'm like, well, what denomination, what group of Christians are you from? Because it matters where the conversations go. Like that contextualizes for me how this conversation is going to go.
There are certain baselines you have to acknowledge before the conversation can start so that you can understand what things can or can't be said.
Right.
For example, if I understand ahead of time that somebody is Southern Baptist, I know that if I'm going to be around them, I probably don't want to drop F-bombs if I don't want to invite
ridicule
or scorn. Well, I may intentionally drop them, but that's a choice.
Right.
And I need to know that going in so that I can decide how to proceed.
Yeah.
It's just knowing your audience. And that's all they were doing.
Yeah.
So anyway, fuck Matthew, what I'm saying here. By responding to the question, though, Jesus doesn't say either Shammai or Hillel.
Okay.
He claims Moses.
Okay. I kind of remember. It's been a while, so I'll need a refresher.
He kind of sidesteps, because they didn't say which school are you from specifically. They said, is it lawful to divorce from any cause?
Yeah.
And he starts by, have you not read? You know?
Yeah, sure.
And so he's like, I'm not going to answer you. I'm just going to say Moses has the answer for you.
Right. Okay.
So it's a classic rabbinic move. What he did, though, is a non-answer answer.
Okay.
Okay? Like, I don't have to answer your question, because if you go back and read this, then you'll know where I stand.
Right.
And then we don't have to talk about it.
Yeah.
So instead of debating Deuteronomy, which is the law that they're asking about, he jumps to an earlier text and argues that the later law should be interpreted in light of God's original creation.
Okay.
Yeah. So he just is like, I'm totally pulling out the OT here. We're not even going to talk about this.
Right.
Which, to be fair, before I said it was normal of the rabbis to ask questions.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to be fair to Jesus. It was normal to sidestep the question.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
They're playing a conversational chess here.
Right. Sorry if you guys can hear background noise, like the finale or whatever is going off right now or something.
Because I think Dayton's big show is tonight.
Either that or there's a big bombing raid going on. I'm not sure.
No, Dayton's big 4th of July show is tonight. So the finale is shaking houses.
It really is. Wow.
Ridiculous.
Like, it was to the point where we kept looking at each other that last couple of sentences like, should we keep going? Because damn.
I think we're done now. Okay.
Right, yeah. Okay,
Moving on.
Back to Jesus.
Back to the Bible. Anyways. Okay. So I'm going to read verses 4 and 5 so that we can talk about those.
Okay. Yeah.
Because Jesus's answer is get back to marriage.
Right.
Okay. So, haven't you read, he replied, that at the beginning the Creator, quote, made them male and female, and said, for this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh.
Sure.
Okay. So, of course, since he's quoting the Old Testament, I have to look up in the Old Testament just to be sure what the fuck is he quoting. Did he quote it correctly? As I've done every chapter thus far when we do a Q&A. This came from Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. So God created mankind in his own image.
Yep.
In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. So yeah, he got that one right.
Right.
Okay, Genesis chapter 2, verse 24 says, that is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. So,
sure.
Yay, Jesus, he quoted correctly Amen.
Hey, so Jesus pulls out the Old Testament sometimes when it's convenient, but also dismisses it when it's convenient.
Yeah.
It's very much a cherry picker.
Well, and you'll notice he went from Genesis chapter 1 to Genesis chapter 2.
Sure.
And he just pulled a verse from each.
Mm-hmm.
And toward that end, he quotes Genesis as though it's one continuous statement by God.
Right.
Like, he went from this to this to this, like...
But it's often what, like, pastors and preachers would do. I mean, they mix and match statements in the Bible to make the message that they want for people to understand.
Right. And here, the argument that he's making is male and female from the one, and the two become flesh from the other.
Yeah.
He combines them into one sentence, basically.
Sure.
And it's like, oh, okay, good on you, I guess.
Right.
So he blends them together into one argument, and that shows how Jewish teachers often interpreted Scripture by combining passages rather than reading them in isolation. So that too was normal and is still normal. And I hate it. I fucking hate it. It's not okay.
Right. It doesn't make any sense. Like, and it's not just a Jewish tradition. That's a Christian tradition as well.
Yes.
Like we even have the
Go
way.
figure. Jesus was doing a Jewish tradition that is now a Christian tradition.
Right. Right. But it involves not. You're not understanding things in context. You're not understanding things to the fullest that you can. You're taking things and you're creating a message that you want to create with these snippets from the Bible.
Yeah.
Old Testament or New Testament, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But you're taking these snippets and you're creating a message of your own choosing from the Bible without allowing for context. And that is not, and I feel like that is not okay.
It's underhanded. It's sneaky. It's not cool.
Right.
It's sinister, one might say.
Yeah, and it allows people to feel like they are informed when they're actually not.
So I have a side note here. The word one flesh, where the two became one flesh.
Yeah.
That didn't originally just mean sex.
Okay.
Like, we think of it now as they pounded so hard and he was inside her. And in that moment when the penis entered the vagina, they were one.
Sure.
Right? Like, that's the image of one flesh,
Okay,
right?
sure.
You're acting like I'm weird for saying that. But it's true. Like, that's what we think of, right? The sexual moment when they are connected.
I feel like the more spiritual version of that is more of the joining of two people, not necessarily like when you're at a wedding, you're not imagining the pounding of flesh. You're imagining the love joining them. So like, and I'm not trying to take away from your imagery. I'm just saying I don't feel like that's what the preacher's trying to invoke when they're marrying a couple.
Sometimes, yeah. They are actually. Okay. Because he owns her, and
sure,
the seed.
I understand.
They are to have children, which consummates them. The marriage is not consummated till they have the sex, right?
I get it.
And she must immediately become pregnant with a male child, a male heir.
I get your
to
point.
His large estate.
I get your point.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it actually. Think about this too. Like, in the royalty in England, they had people fucking stand around watching them consummate the fucking marriage. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. They didn't just have sex to consummate the marriage. People had to stand around and watch to make sure it happened, and also to make sure that she bled.
Did you look up this information, or are you just taking this from Game of Thrones?
No, this is not from Game of Thrones. This is literal history.
Okay.
This is well-known literal history.
I knew like that was something that happened in Game of Thrones. Like they did.
Not just Game of Thrones.
Well, no, I got it. I didn't know that was actual. I assume that probably had happened in human history at some point, but I didn't know that it was English history.
Yeah.
So that I didn't know that was actual or not.
Yes, that is actual history. They would watch, and then they would immediately remove the sheets to prove that she had bled, showing that she was a virgin on the wedding night.
Wow.
So not only must the marriage be consummated, it must be consummated with that sweet, sweet pussy being fresh. Okay?
God forbid something happened when you were younger that wasn't even sexual that caused that to not.
I hope she didn't ride any horses.
Right? Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, so I mean, when I say one flesh didn't just mean sex, because that's the image that we think is sex, and you're like, oh, it didn't always mean that. I'm like, no, actually, it kind of did. You have a very sweet modern heart. You are a Renaissance man. You are a wonderful feminist ally, and I appreciate that you think that that's not true.
No, let's just say it doesn't sound like the way you put it when they're pitching it.
But it was. I promise.
I get it.
So, but although it's come to mean sex,
yes,
and how those of us who don't know better picture it,
right?
Ancient Jews also did mean something broader, which your sweetheart picked up on. The one household, the one family unit, the one economic partnership, and the one kinship bond, the combining of everything into one.
Yeah.
The sexual aspect was certainly part of it, though, just not the whole squishy picture.
Right.
So, all right, moving on to verses 8 and 9. Okay.
Yeah.
Jesus. Sometimes I can't read my own notes. Jesus. Jesus replied, Moses permitted you to divorce your wives because your hearts were hard, but it was not this way from the beginning. I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife except for sexual immorality and marries another woman commits adultery. So he's like, I'm not going to tell you that I am in the school of Shammai, but then I'm going to tell you, definitely school of Shammai.
Got it.
Okay?
Yeah.
You better hold on to that girl forever.
Sure.
Okay? No reason to toss her aside.
Okay.
And anyway, if you interpret it any other way, Moses was a little loosey-goosey on it. And listen to me. I'm Jesus. I'm God's son. I know better than Moses did.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Moses allowed you to get away with shit. I'm not gonna.
Right.
I'm telling you, Jesus pisses me off. I'm just like, whom's the fuck do you think you is, my good sir?
Well, do you really want him to answer that?
No.
Because
I
think he's got an answer to that one.
He does, and I hate it. So this phrasing, though, like, we reacted to it, and I remember being pissed. But this phrasing is so astonishing. Because he says, Moses permitted you to do some shit. Right?
Yeah.
Moses permitted you to divorce your wives because your hearts were hard, but it was not this way from the beginning. So he's saying this phrasing is not... Jesus was an asshole, okay? Jesus is an asshole because he's trying to reinterpret what Moses said. He's like, Moses... was letting y'all be willy-nilly.
Got it.
And I'm coming down and saying no.
Okay.
Moses was wrong. Okay?
Got it.
I hate it.
Yeah.
So God supposedly gave Moses the law, and now Jesus is saying, yeah, but that wasn't ideal though. So let's reinterpret
That's what I don't like. I don't like the fact that Jesus is just like
fuck Yahweh,
scrapping what he wants and not what he doesn't. You know, like
my dad is the father, the wonderful top dog, except also fuck that guy, he had it wrong. Do it my way, I know better.
Right, but like, why did God let these people run around for thousands of years
doing it wrong
without correcting them?
Yeah,
you know, like I what?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It's not like they said Moses didn't say he was doing it because he was hardening their hearts.
Right?
You know, these things didn't happen.
Moses is this what God said.
Right. It was not stated that these were the case when, like, in the Bible.
Yeah.
So what the fuck?
No, this is all fantasy bullshit.
Right.
And I hate it. I hate the New Testament. The New Testament is a bunch of fucking lies.
Well, and moreover, like, we saw how the Bible dramatically changed from the Pentateuch until you know, closer to the New Testament, right? Like there was so many things that drifted with regard to how people felt about things.
You could watch the writing style, the morals, the stories that were told, the stories that weren't told.
Yeah.
The shit that got left out.
Right.
You could tell how it changed. And then like 400 years after the last one, the New Testament just walks in and picks up the football and is like, hey, this looks cool. Let's change everything about it, though, and make it ours.
No, and that this is the culmination of all that change, right? And that's really what's going on here.
Yeah, I fucking hate it. Yeah. It's kind of like how I can equate it to if the Old Testament was like wrong but understandable, but it led to the New Testament, if we want to put that in today's terms, the Republicans were wrong but understandable, but I hated them the whole time, and they fucking led to MAGA. You know what I'm saying? Like Republicans are equivalent in this analogy. Republicans are equivalent to the Old Testament. Like, they aren't always right, but they're mostly harmless, I guess. But man, they're kind of fucked up. But they literally both laid the stepping stones for the eventual shitstorm that came. Christianity in one and fucking MAGA in the other.
Right.
I hate it so fucking much.
Yeah.
Okay. So Christians usually like to explain this away. They're like, Moses gave a concession to human sin. It's fine. Jesus is restoring God's original intention. This is fine. I see no problem here. There's not a change from one to the other. There's a change because it's okay, but there's not a change, but there is, but it's okay.
Right.
Like the fucking pretzel that's happening. There's not a change, but there is, and it's okay, but there's not, but there is.
Sure.
But there's not, but it's okay that there is.
Right.
Like, how do you make those two be okay in your head?
You use the magical "I'm God's son."
But I'm asking, like, my neighbors, how do you do that?
Right.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
So, a secular observation, like somebody, us,
Yeah.
we would note that Jesus is fucking implying that Moses didn't get it right.
Yeah.
And that's not cool, because then why did God supposedly give Moses that law in the first place?
Right.
But Matthew never resolves this reading.
Well,
He's
obviously,
just like,
because this
anyways,
is no, and that's more the cherry picking
The hand
interpretations that go on. So.
Yeah. Bad writing. Don't like.
Right.
All right, then he gets into celibacy and marriage, and Jesus answers, and he talks about eunuchs.
Yeah.
And we
I remember
had
that.
questions.
Right.
We were like, excuse you?
Right.
What? So Jesus says that there are three kinds of eunuchs: born eunuchs, made eunuchs, and self-made eunuchs.
Okay.
Okay? Born eunuchs would be men who were born unable to reproduce.
Okay.
And obviously, ancient people lacked modern biological vocabulary.
Sure.
So they would not have been able to explain.
So you're a eunuch.
Right.
Yeah.
They did clearly, however, recognize that some people are born sexually different and that this would encompass various congenital differences. So they were slightly less scientifically stupid.
Yeah.
In some ways.
Sure.
Because they did recognize it.
Right.
Nowadays, like if you mention the word intersex, they're like, what's that?
Right.
And when you say, well, some people are born with different amount of chromosomes or different body parts or blah, 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 and it's problematic insofar as like trying to like slap a label on it and call it done, and,
right.
sex and gender make it confusing because you want binary and it's just not, so blah, blah, blah. And they're like, that's not a thing. And it's like, no, but actually, though, it is.
Right.
It literally is. And the Bible recognizes that it's a thing.
Sure.
You're the problem.
Yeah.
You fucking backwoods dum-dum. Right? Like, even the Bible knew it.
Yeah.
Okay? So the differences that they acknowledged would include now what we would call some intersex conditions.
Okay.
And Jesus doesn't condemn them. He simply acknowledges that they exist.
Yeah.
They can't get married, but they're not bad or anything. They just can't get married and have kids.
Right.
Which I'm not saying that that's a good stance. I'm saying it's still a step up from how women and slaves were treated.
It's at least a recognized stance of some
recognition that it exists and not an insult.
Right.
Jesus was fine with intersex people. Happy Pride Month. Granted, we're in July, but I didn't get enough. So still, happy
Sure.
continued Pride Month into July.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so that was born eunuchs. Okay, then we
yeah.
get made eunuchs. This is pretty straightforward. Jesus is referring to castrated servants and slaves, which, we do be chopping off wieners all the time.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah. It's a practice that was common throughout the ancient world.
God.
Yeah. Especially in royal courts. Yeah. Well, because you don't want your slaves to be reproducing,
Oh my God.
right? That's grotesque. We can't have them making more of themselves. Ew, right?
Sure.
I'm saying all
okay.
this. I'm saying all this tongue in cheek, obviously, because that's grotesque.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So made eunuchs because we like to chop wieners.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then there's self-made eunuchs. Okay. And these are people who made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom. Okay. This is a metaphorical castration.
Oh.
Yeah. Jesus is telling his unmarried followers to voluntarily avoid having sex.
So this is like Catholic priests, how they can't have sex, and we see how that worked out.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Not recommended.
No. He says no marriage means celibacy. That's just the way it be.
Mm-hmm.
Sex is only for marriage.
Yeah.
Okay. If you choose lifelong singleness, live sexually abstinent. There's no option for dating, casual sex, or long-term unmarried partners.
Okay.
Because they were like, dude, I can't divorce this bitch for cooking my dinner and burning it. Oh, fuck that. I'm just never going to get married. I want to fuck left, right, and upside down.
But that's not an option.
And Jesus is like,
nah.
no.
Right.
No. Once you get married, you can't have sex until you're married. And then once you're married, you can't have sex with anybody else.
Got it.
Just your wife, period. And you cannot ship her out.
Monogamy.
Yeah. 0 or abstinence, monogamy. Those are your choices.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And the fact that the disciples react so strongly shows that Jesus' teaching was actually a lot more radical than Jews at that time would have expected.
Okay.
So this shows that the Pharisees leaned more toward the Hillel school of thought.
Got it.
Where they could divorce for late dinner, they could divorce because fuck this, fuck that, fuck those, fuck these.
Right.
Like I don't like her anymore, and divorce everybody.
Sure.
They just wanted to fuck.
Got it.
Yeah. So that's what that was about. That's fun.
Yeah.
So right after we talk about sex and eunuchs, remember that's when the children are brought in.
Right.
Remember we were like,
yeah.
Ooh. Verse 13.
Yeah.
Then people brought little children to Jesus for him to place his hands on them and pray for them. But the disciples rebuked them.
Okay.
Children.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. The disciples.
Yeah.
Okay.
The disciples rebuked the children.
Right.
Don't be bugging him, even though they're brought in.
Right.
They're like, don't be bugging him. So we haven't read Luke yet because we're reading this in order of where it is in our Bible, which Matthew's first.
Right.
But apparently when we get to the book of Luke, he will describe them as infants, not children.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
It was probably on this account that the disciples were rebuking the parents, not the children themselves, thinking the babies were too young to receive blessings, but the parents wanted Jesus' blessings on the babies.
Yeah.
And they're like, get the fuck out of here. He's busy.
Right.
He's got some serious healing and explaining to do.
Sure.
We're trying to learn about, when we can fuck. We don't want babies up in here. Okay? We have questions about sex and divorce and sex.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So take your babies and leave.
Right.
Right. It was a common custom among the Jews to lay their hands on the heads of those whom they blessed or for whom they prayed. The laying on of hands is a thing, right? Yeah. This seems to have been done by way of dedication or consecration to God, the person being considered as the sacred property of God. Okay? Ever after.
Right.
Right? Like, once I lay my hands on you, you're in, like Flynn, whatever that means.
Sure.
Okay? This rite has long been practiced among Christians when persons are appointed to any sacred office. So,
okay.
I touched you with my stinky, dirty-ass hands. You are blessed, my child.
Got it.
Okay. Then we move on from kids and we get into the riches.
Okay. Yeah.
And Jesus tests because there's a man, he asked Jesus about gaining eternal life. How do I do it? Right?
Sure.
I've been good all my life.
Yeah.
How do I gain eternal life? And Jesus tests him by the aspects of the Mosaic law that deals with man's relationship to men. So verses 18 and 19 read, which ones, he inquired, which one should I follow? Which Mosaic rules, Mosaic laws should
Yeah.
I follow?
Right.
Jesus replied, you shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not give false testimony, honor your father and mother, and love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah.
Right? That all comes from Exodus chapter 20.
Yeah.
Verses 12 through 16. Honor your father and mother so that you may live long in the land of the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. And then in Leviticus 19, verse 18, he adds, do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against anyone among your people, but love your neighbor as yourself. I'm the Lord. So when dude asks, which commandments should I keep? Right? We had questions about that because somebody in our Discord, Fern, I believe, was saying commandments. There's Mosaic law, and then there's the commandments. Like there's this whole list of laws.
Yeah, the Levitical law.
Yeah, and I was confused, and I was like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, the commandments are the commandments, right?
Right.
False. I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, the commandments are not just those commandments.
Right.
Right? Because I was like, what? There's 10 fucking commandments. Follow them. And then I was like, wait. There's 2 versions, and I think they overlap. So there's still only 12, but okay. Worst case scenario, there's 20 fucking commandments, right?
But no, there's the shrimp, there's the mixed threads, and there's the, you know, all the things.
Traditionally, there are 613 commandments.
613.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jews often used the word quote unquote commandments more broadly than just the 10, 12, or 20 that we think of.
Yeah.
Okay. They use the term commandments to encompass literally hundreds of rules, 613 to be exact. So asking which ones here actually makes a lot of sense because he's like, which rules do I follow? And I'm like, okay, 10, 12, 20, 613 apparently. Follow 613, all of them. Follow them all.
Right.
Like, I'm still not understanding the question. Like, to get into heaven, you follow all the rules. Which rules? All of them. Like, the answer is the rules.
Yeah.
Not which rules, all the rules.
One would think that anyway, right?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm a dum-dum. That could very well be. I probably am.
And here's the other part of it. Jesus has not died for our sins yet.
Right.
So just putting that out there.
Right. You're a Jew. I don't know if there's heaven. We haven't really got into that. There is some kind of afterlife
which
thing.
I still don't understand how Jesus dying for our sins negates some of the rules, but not all of the rules.
It doesn't.
But that makes no sense, right?
It doesn't.
Like, how does that even work?
It doesn't.
I know it doesn't, but like, that's what Christians pretend, right?
It's so
They're
bad.
like, hey, yeah, there's the 10 commandments, but like, you know, Jesus died for our sins, so like all that other shit, that's to the wayside, unless we want to pick one here and there to make, you know, a point.
Some of the Levitical ones, not all of them.
Some of the Levitical ones we want to regurgitate, but not all of them.
Interesting though is that Jesus doesn't quote all the 10 commandments.
Right.
He selects mostly the interpersonal ones: don't murder, commit adultery, or steal or lie. Do honor your parents and do love your neighbor.
Right.
The things that are missing are things about Sabbath, idols, blasphemy, and kosher foods.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that Christians decided, those are gross. We don't want to do those anyways.
Because God didn't, or Jesus didn't say them.
It's
okay now.
It's not convenient. He didn't mention them. It's
right.
fine.
Except that they're
fine.
missing a whole 600 others that you know, he also didn't mention.
Right. Exactly. So that leaves the question. So if there's 613 fucking commandments,
right?
Didn't Jesus break some of them then?
Oh without a doubt.
Yeah. He broke several, okay? All over the fucking place. He basically masturbated all over God's commandments all throughout the Old Testament.
Well, he certainly worked on the Sabbath, so I know that one for sure.
Yeah, exactly. If the word commandment here doesn't just mean the 10 commandments or the 2 drafts of the 10 commandments, and it actually means the 613 Levitical laws that are recognized as commandments, then yes. His opponents repeatedly accuse him of violating Sabbath regulations, as you pointed out.
Right.
And Jesus generally replies, I'm violating your interpretation, not God's intention. Which again, that was revolutionary.
Sure, okay. There's a guy up. This guy's okay.
You're so bad.
Jesus is a fucking rebel, apparently. You know, like for the time, for with regard to God's viewpoints and whatever.
Yeah.
Jesus is like rebelling against the institution. Yeah. Right.
He just walks in and decides what the rules are going to be now.
And at first he's like, "Fuck your rules. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. You know, y'all can like it or lump it. I don't give a shit." Mm-hmm. And then later he's like, "Hey, my dudes, just so you know, don't tell anybody, but I'm the Son of God."
Yeah.
You know, like, okay. Yeah. And then he just continues to break fucking rules. And it's like, like if you're a God, right? If you're no, you know what? Actually, skip that. Let's skip the whole God thing.
Take religion right out of the religion.
Let's say you're a fucking manager.
Okay.
Okay. If you're a manager trying to keep your people in line and teach them how to do things correctly, do you just start breaking all the fucking rules?
Well, okay, let's even make this no, I
right,
don't,
no,
obviously.
you fucking don't.
Right. So let's say that there's a company like, I don't know, McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
McDonald's as a whole has all of these fucking rules, right? That we just all recognize. Let's say that there's 613 of them. Mm-hmm. Okay? Just McDonald's as a whole has 613 rules you have to follow if you want to be allowed to put a fucking sign up that says "We are McDonald's."
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Then this dude buys this fucking McDonald's franchise, right? And he walks in and he says, "Actually, we're going to keep the sign, but we're going to do everything else different. And we're going to start calling it, I don't know, Wendy's," right? And then...
Was his name Dave?
I don't fucking know. But he's going to start calling it Wendy's. And then everybody's like, okay. Like, what? But he's still got the golden arches up outside.
Right. Yeah.
How does that work?
It doesn't. It doesn't fucking work.
Like, it's no longer McDonald's. Right. And then the manager is like, "I know, we're Wendy's now."
Right.
We still, follow some of the tenets of McDonald's, and that's why we get to keep the golden arches. Like, no, literally you don't, my guy.
Let me call up the franchise people right now. Hey, they're breaking 600 of the 613 rules.
Right?
Can you pull their franchise? And they'll be like, yeah, okay.
And then they'd be like, "We are so McDonald's. We are so McDonald's." So you're like, okay. I have a coupon for McDonald's, free fries if I order a sandwich.
Right.
That's when they turn around and say, "Oh, we're not actually McDonald's." Like, what the ever-loving fuck? They get to have it both ways. They're both McDonald's and Wendy's at the same time simultaneously.
Jesus is totally Wendy's.
Okay, I just wanted to say that because I think that's a great analogy.
I agree.
Like, you don't get to be both burger joints, my guy.
Right, yeah.
And Jesus is like, "The hell you say? Did you like my Frosties?"
Right. He's going to do it his way.
Yeah. There's the king. There's the king. All right. So, anyway, Jesus sucks. Okay? So, moving on to verse 24. Again, I tell you, it is easier for a fucking camel to go through the eye of a fucking needle than for someone who is rich to enter the fucking kingdom of God. Okay?
You really emphasize that with fucking a lot.
Because I'm so worked up. I hate Jesus. I hate the New Testament. I hate it so much. It's literally pissing me off.
No, I know. We've been talking about this.
Like, so. But every time I read it, I'm like, no, that's not correct. I understand why the Jews fucking crucified him. They were like, everything about you is wrong. You're doing everything wrong.
Yeah. I think this personally offends you because you are very much a rule person.
Yes.
And you like lists and you like things to be correct.
Yes, and
Jesus is like, I'm going to take all the rules and throw them in the goddamn air.
Only pretend. He wants you to pretend he's still following some.
Yeah.
No.
Wife doesn't pretend, and wife doesn't like things out of order. So
no, just be like, we're not doing that anymore because we have a new religion. Like, just be upfront and don't staple the Old Testament to the New Testament.
Right.
No, just be like,
we're done with that.
Fuck Judaism.
We're moving along.
Yeah.
Something else.
And don't tell me that Jesus and Yahweh are the same fucking guy, because they are so clearly not.
Right.
They're so... Okay. Anyway, fucking camel, fucking needle, fucking kingdom of God, okay?
Yeah.
So...
And then we know, just because, we know that this gets torn up at some point in the New Testament too. So like this doesn't even hold up. The whole poor people.
Oh yeah.
Because the prosperity gospel.
Yeah,
right?
prosperity gospel. Yeah, we're not there yet. Though,
No, I know, but like.
But I wanted to talk about this because this is really cool.
Yeah.
There's an expression similar to this one in the Quran. The impious, I always want to say impious when I see that word, but no, it's impious, who in his arrogance shall accuse our doctrine of falsity, shall find the gates of heaven shut, nor shall he enter there till a camel shall pass through the eye of a needle. It is thus that we shall recompense the wicked. Okay. It was also a mode of expression common among the Jews and signified just an impossible thing. It was just a phrase to mean, that's ridiculous. That'll happen when pigs fly.
Right.
When you put a camel through the eye of a needle.
Right. Yeah.
That kind of silliness.
Sure.
Right. So there was also another proverb, a camel in media dance, not common social media, Medea, the city media.
Okay. Medea.
Yeah. A camel in that city dances in a cave, a measure which held about 3 pints. So that was like a common thing. Like camels don't dance.
They used camels as metaphors for a lot of
the
things.
way we say pigs will fly.
For sure.
They were like
or
camels
hell
always
will freeze over. It's just an everyday.
It's just an everyday ridiculous. When that ridiculous thing happens,
right. Yeah.
There was another one that went, no man sees a palm tree of gold nor an elephant passing through the eye of a needle because these are impossible things.
Sure.
Okay. So what's funny is that a lot of Christians have tried to say, no. He's not saying it's impossible to be rich and get into heaven. There was a gate specifically that was the camel gate. You know how there was the fish gate and the servant gate and all the different gates around the city? They're saying,
oh, what a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, they've tried to reinterpret it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I'm like, do you even Greek, my guy? Do you even Latin? And I'm like, you can say that, but then there's lots of historians who translate, I don't know, language and words.
Right.
You're wrong.
Apologists really bug the fuck out of me.
They try so hard.
I'm like, you got to stop.
They're not just apologists. They're skanky, nasty, grody, liar grifters. They're fucking grifters, and I hate them.
When you're talking to a not, like, professional apologist, someone who's, like, just trying to make up excuses on the fly, you can see them, like I've talked to some people, and you can see them searching for a reason, anything. Like, what can I say? Where's the Jesus quote I can pull out here?
Yeah.
What's the passage I can use for this one? It's like, just stop. Could you use your fucking rational mind for just a second and think about this from any other perspective than your own so closed off corner of your religious bullshit?
Listen, I don't know if there was a camel gate or not. I don't fucking care because that's not what this is about.
That's not what it's about.
When they say a camel through a needle, through the eye of a needle, it's also in the Quran, so fuck you.
Right, and they're talking about an impossibility.
They're talking about an impossible thing.
Period, the end.
It's very difficult to be rich and get into heaven. I wonder why. That's because, I don't know, because it kind of goes against the whole tenets of what the whole religion is supposed to be about.
Well, and when I was younger, and I wasn't in religion, but everybody that was religious, when I heard this quote, because it was a popular quote, right? It was always an impossibility. That's always how it was interpreted when I was younger.
I wouldn't necessarily use that's how it was when I was younger. You grew up in small town Ohio.
I did.
No, that's not necessarily. That's very anecdotal.
Absolutely,
and
it is anecdotal and it is local. But the prosperity gospel is something that has emerged in recent-ish history.
Very hardcore in recent history.
Yes.
It's always been there in the background,
right? But
now we're like really singing its praises.
The apologists for the prosperity gospel are quite a newer phenomenon.
Well, that's because richness, like there's so many fucking millionaires and billionaires,
right?
They have to excuse themselves in some way. Well, Jesus said I deserve this.
Well, and a lot of the millionaires are fucking, televangelists and priests and shit. So it's like, okay.
Yeah. So can rich Christians exist is the question. And the answer is Yes, because the Bible doesn't say that it's impossible. It says it's difficult.
That is true.
So somebody like Dolly Parton gets a pass because she gives back. She is rich. She gives back. She donated millions to literacy programs for children. She donated millions for COVID vaccine creation.
Yeah.
And she doesn't just sit on her wealth and accumulate it and buy islands and rape children.
Right.
She actually helps her community and wants to make the world better.
Sure.
So, yeah, is it possible? Yes, but you better be like Dolly fucking Parton.
Right.
And if you're not, fuck you. You're not a real Christian. You're not going to heaven. If heaven were such a thing as to exist, you're going to the hell that you believe in or profess to believe in. That's the way your rules work. Sorry.
At least so far as we've read it.
Yeah.
Because again, apparently there's more information
That
later.
is true. So again, can rich Christians exist? Some say yes, but wealth must never become your master.
Right.
Like buying islands and
Sure.
airplanes and shit.
Yeah. Right.
Others say that the command was very unique to just this particular individual and it doesn't count. It doesn't
Oh my
apply
God.
to me.
You've got to be kidding me.
Like, do you even analogy, my guy? Do you even parable?
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Like, the parables mean that they do apply to you. All of this is about Jesus's parables and how you're supposed to live your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, no, sir. And I say sir because it's almost always a sir.
Right.
In Christian religions about trying to, gain wealth and keep it and sit on it and rape people, it's always a sir. So,
Right.
sir, it does apply to you.
Yeah.
Still others, such as many monastic traditions, took it and still take it today very literally, and they embrace voluntary poverty as well as the voluntary eunuch
Yeah.
lifestyle.
Sure. And I for the people that do that in a very
unfettered and unselfish and very giving and like they take it seriously,
Right.
I respect that.
I do too.
It's not for me,
No.
but I see it and I respect it.
But if your belief is so strong to actually make you do something like that and do it well and do it correctly,
Yeah.
that there is some level in my dislike of religion.
Mm-hmm.
There's some level of respect that I have for people that take it to that level.
See that as less a religion and more as a lifestyle and a adoption of a spiritual practice.
Sure.
And that's not the same as religion.
Right.
That's living with like-minded people to do this spiritual lifestyle.
Right.
And they're not robbing people and
Right.
they're not raping children and buying islands.
Right.
So I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we move on to verse 25. When the disciples heard this, they were greatly astonished and asked, who then can be saved? The question of the disciples seemed to suggest that most people were rich. Right?
Okay, all right.
Otherwise, why would they even be worried about it?
Sure.
You're a fucking fisherman and a tax guy. Why the fuck do you care?
Right.
Right?
Right.
So, but by their reaction, it would seem that, well, I guess everybody's rich, so hardly anybody can be saved. And Jesus is like, yeah. They certainly must have attached a different meaning to what constitutes a rich or wealthy person
Sure.
to what we do today
Right.
to have such a crazy reaction
Yeah.
of who then even can be saved? If
Right.
not but look at all my cars. My God. So then Peter's like, wait, what do we get out of it? Wasn't it for us? Right?
Yeah.
Like, we just gave up everything. We
Right.
tossed our moms out the fucking window. We punched our dad in the face and left him on the boat. Like, what the fuck? How? So he likely expected something much more Jewish in tradition, Peter in
Right.
particular. He wanted to see Israel restored or Rome defeated or the Messiah crowned or God's kingdom's like literally arriving on earth. A lot like what we said about John the Baptist.
Right.
And, what he was expecting of Jesus. Are you really the Messiah? Because I don't know about all that. You ain't doing it.
Right.
You're just walking around.
Yeah.
As Jesus's ministry progresses, those expectations became a lot less straightforward. So instead of overthrowing Rome,
Yeah.
Jesus just keeps talking about suffering and sacrifice and losing one's life. And I'm probably going to die, guys. You know, and
that's not what they were expecting at all.
Right. They're like, we gave up. You weren't talking about this in the beginning. We gave up everything based on what you were saying. And now you're selling us something different. What the fuck? What gives, Jesus?
Right. Message has changed.
Yes.
Dude.
Yeah. We're only in chapter 19.
Right.
And the message has changed dramatically.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Peter's question reflects the growing uncertainty. We've left everything behind. So what does that mean for us?
Right.
What?
Yeah.
And Jesus answered with this apocalyptic vision. Okay. And remember, when we talk about the word apocalyptic in biblical terms, it doesn't mean like the apocalypse is happening. The nuclear weapons went off in World War III and the planet was demolished. And very few survivors escaped their bunkers to find that the world was, you know, ravished.
Right.
Right. It's not that kind of apocalypse.
Sure.
Okay. It's just a future version.
Yeah.
Okay. Future vision. He says, what are you guys going to get out of it? My message has changed. Hang on. I know you're probably not going to see anything in life, but totally, I promise, in the afterlife, you're going to be rewarded with all the power ever. There's going to be thrones with fancy cushions for you.
See, this feels like he's just placating his people that he's got following him that are discipling and apostling and doing all the things.
Draining them.
Yeah.
He's draining their finances.
Right.
And he's like, oh, the truth is you probably won't get shit. But I promise you.
When you're dead.
My dad is like, I'm kind of in with my dad. God will totally build us a whole entire throne room. And you guys will be there.
I mean, how this whole thing just sounds like a scam.
It's such a scam.
It just sounds like a fucking scam.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. He says that the 12 will sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel, and those who have sacrificed family or possessions for him will receive abundant reward and eternal life. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's like, it's fine. It's fine. And based on this, it's no wonder that Peter keeps asking questions like,
well, yeah.
Oh, no, right? This is not what... what?
What kind of, can you write this down, like sign it, or can God come down and like corroborate?
This is not the cult I seek.
Right, yeah.
Right? So, okay, this is one of my favorite parts here, okay? Moving on to verse 30. This is such trash, okay?
Okay.
But many who are first will be last, and many who are last will be first.
It's a very famous quote from the Bible.
Very famous quote that we did not fully understand when we read it, okay? From the Christian perspective, the Jews, who have been the first and the most distinguished people of God, will, in general, reject the gospel of Jesus and be consequently rejected by God. The Gentiles, who have had no name among the living, like nobody knows them, right? The Gentiles are non-Jew, right?
Sure.
They will be brought the knowledge of the truth, and they will become first, the chief and most exalted people of God.
So we spent the whole Old Testament protecting, bringing back together the Jewish people, right? All this to protect the Jewish traditions and all this. And then Jesus comes along and says, fuck y'all, bye.
Fuck the Jews is what he says,
right?
And I'm not here for it.
That's ridiculous,
right?
God's entire message was the Jewish people and forever, and the sands and the seas and all the things, right?
We're going to talk about that a little bit more in the coming chapter because it gets stated again. Okay,
sure.
But let's bring home chapter 19. Okay, Matthew chapter 19 isn't just about money and marriage and eunuchs and riches and stuff. It's about authority. That's what this is about.
Okay.
Nearly every scene in this fucking chapter asks the same underlying question. Who gets to define what faithfulness looks like?
Right.
I would go so far as to say it's not just this chapter. It's all the chapters that we've read so far. It's what we've been railing against. Like, wait, Jesus just walks in and changes the rules and suddenly you're a bad Jew if you're not doing it his way?
Right.
What the fuck? And Jesus is like, yes, that is correct.
But this would be so insulting to me if I was a Jewish person.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
Because you literally just took everything that we've ever been taught and you said, nah.
Yeah.
I mean, to some extent. Like, I'm not saying completely. Obviously, like, that's
okay,
the whole...
but 20 chapters in and I'm like,
oh, it's a lot. This is a lot.
This is a lot.
And he's teaching these things hypothetically before he's dead.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, this is literally just, he's changing what Judaism is.
Yeah.
And that's
and
absurd.
He's painting anybody who questions it as a bad guy instead of just everybody going, what are you talking about?
Right.
Everything that you're saying is exactly incorrect to what we've been taught. And we have the books to prove it, you fuck.
Yeah.
And Jesus is like, you dare? I'm the Son of God. And they're like, oh, and now you're the Son of God, are you?
Except for that apparently he told nobody about that.
Right. But the blind guys knew.
The
blind guys
They know he's the son of David.
Whatever. Anyways.
Yeah.
So in this chapter, we see the Pharisees appeal to established interpretations to the Torah. Moses represents the received law, right?
Sure. Yeah.
The rich man trusts his lifelong obedience to get him into heaven, right? The disciples wonder what following Jesus is even worth to them, right? And Jesus repeatedly answers as though he's the authority. He gets to redefine all the priorities.
Sure.
From marriage to wealth to even status.
If you're Jesus, they just let you do it.
Exactly. Which status is where we kind of start in the next chapter, chapter 20. Okay, so we start chapter 20 with the parable of the workers in the fucking vineyard. Yeah. Okay. And
I hated this story.
I hated this story more than you did.
Fucking terrible.
Yeah. It's horrible. And we're going to get into it.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. Yeah.
So let's just talk about the vineyard for a second in and of itself. Okay. Jewish audiences would have immediately recognized the vineyard as a symbol from the Hebrew Bible. So he's always pulling up these
Old Testament references.
Because he was Jewish. Yeah. So it made sense. And that's what the teachers did.
Sure.
Right? So this is not bad. It's just like, he's a good teacher because he's doing what they do.
Right.
Okay. He especially pulls from the book of Isaiah chapter 5, where Israel is described as God's vineyard that failed to produce good fruit. So when Jesus says the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner with a vineyard, he's invoking centuries of scriptural imagery before he even gets to his point. So he's again using that shorthand, that symbolism, saying something that his audience would immediately nod their heads and say, right.
Sure.
I follow. I get it. Now here's an interesting just side note interpretation thing. You've heard of the 11th hour, right? Like when you do something at the 11th hour, it's at the very last possible minute, right? So in the interpretation that we read, every time like a few hours goes by and he's like, oh, I saw some people standing by and then I hired them to come work. Yeah. Right. Our interpretation gives specific times when those happen. That's like a reinterpretation. The original translation would have said in the first hour, in the second hour, in the third hour. And then the translation that we read told us what the first hour is, what time that is. Okay. What time the second hour is, what time the third hour is.
But they would have said the 11th hour, and which would have been the last hour.
Last hour would have been an hour before they get off work, about 5 o'clock.
Interesting.
So he hired them at the 11th hour.
Interesting.
Right? And that's where we get that phrase. Huh. It happened at the last minute, at the 11th hour.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a biblical reference. So
I didn't either. Yeah. So I love these asides that don't answer any of our questions, but just kind of flesh out our language and our understanding of history.
It's kind of amazing to me how many references actually come from the Bible that I'm not aware of.
Right. So. And this was a really cool one. Yeah. And had we not done a Q&A, we would have missed it since the interpretation that we read
was different.
Did not have, or the translation that we read went ahead and just interpreted for our dumb brains.
Sure.
Like, we don't know what the 11th hour is. We don't know what the 10th hour is. We don't know what the 9th hour is. So thank you for the favor, but
Right. Yeah.
and this is where, like, doing these little deep dives helps give you a little bit more insight.
Sure.
I kind of like having both. Like,
Yeah.
don't just tell me the first hour, second hour, third hour, because I don't know what that means. But don't just reinterpret it without, like, a little note to explain shit
Cultural
to me.
aside.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is actually
Side
kind of
note.
important culturally because,
Yeah.
you know, this is where that happens.
Yeah, this is actually a phrase y'all might know.
Right,
The 11th
yeah.
hour.
Right.
Right? So, okay.
Yes.
Sorry. I lost my train of thought and it
Okay.
went choo 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 choo.
I waited as long as I could without interjecting.
No, I know. I appreciate that. So, okay. The 11th hour became an English idiom because of this story, as I said.
Yeah.
Okay. And when we say someone did something at the 11th hour, we usually mean at the last possible moment. Originally, it literally referred to the workers hired around 5 p.m.
Got it.
So 1 hour before quitting time.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So then we get into the landowner pays his workers.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this was a little interesting. The wage that he paid was a denarius, which that comes from the Greek word, and it refers to a Roman silver coin.
Sure.
And it was roughly considered a fair day's wage for an unskilled laborer.
Okay.
Okay. So the first guys, they were actually being paid very fairly.
Sure.
It was fine. Right.
Which is why they agreed to do the work.
Yeah.
Sure. You know,
Yeah.
right.
That detail matters, though, because the workers who started early, they weren't being underpaid.
Right.
Right. They received exactly what they had agreed to and exactly what would have been fair. Like, it's important to note that it was
I
a
think that
fair
comes
day's
across in
wage.
the fact that they agreed to do the work for that amount of money, right? Like
Right.
they agreed to do it. So that to me indicates fairness. Right?
Yes. It's just important that we recognize that the scandal is that everyone else was paid more generously and unfair
Yeah.
above and beyond.
Right.
Not that the first workers were cheated per se.
No, I got that in the middle of the story.
I did too.
So
I just wanted to make sure that I stated it out loud.
Sure.
Okay. That
Yeah.
they weren't underpaid except by comparison.
Right. The circumstances made it unfair.
Yes.
Not the pay.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So then we get into the complaint of those early workers. And they're like, wait, excuse me? Like, I worked a full day and then I had to stand here and watch you give the guy who just showed up a fucking hour ago get the same pay as me?
Yeah.
The fuck?
Right.
And then we listen to Jesus say, what is my money? I can pay what the fuck I want. And you agreed and it's fair. So why are you bitching?
Right.
And we're supposed to, like, walk away with, oh, that's true.
No, fuck that.
Right. The traditional Christian reading says that God owes nobody salvation. And that's what the parable is supposed to be teaching us. Everyone deserves nothing. Okay. Therefore, whether he gives you $1, a penny, or $1 million and a plane,
We should just be grateful.
you be grateful, whatever you fucking get. And you shut the fuck up and you don't question.
Yeah, I'm going to call my union rep.
Right. Well, that's something else I was reading about was somebody in a monastic order from early history would have found this perfectly acceptable, whereas a union rep in the 80s would have tore this shit up. And it's interesting how, because as our labor laws changed,
Yeah.
the analogy doesn't hold.
Right.
Like, the parable doesn't work because workers' rights.
Right.
So we get what you're saying, but now we need a different parable because
This doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, obviously it didn't work back then either.
right.
I mean, I'm just saying, like,
No.
they definitely saw that it was not fair.
No, true. But they saw that it wasn't fair, but they also were like, oh, yeah, it is your money. That is true. It's not fair, but it is your money. And so I don't have the right to complain.
Right. Which
is what they would have walked away
and they're trying to
with.
equate this to God, where God gets to dole out whatever gift God wants to give out, right? I understand that, but it makes it the message is muddled because this is truly not fair.
Right.
It's truly terrible.
It's truly terrible
the way that it is treating the other people.
Pedo can find grace in the 11th hour.
Right. This is just a bad. So this is people in an ancient time interpreting something, saying this landowner, right? We're equating this landowner to God, essentially, right? This landowner has the right to give you whatever gift he wants to give, and since you agreed to that gift, you should be happy with that gift, regardless of what the other people are getting.
Yeah, and it's what I said in the episode, which is stay in your lane, don't worry about what anybody else is doing, and just be grateful for what you get.
But I'm going to counter that with, that still doesn't mean the guy that's the landowner isn't a fucking asshole.
Right, because God is a dick, after all.
Yeah.
And Jesus is a piece of shit Nepo baby. So, there you go. Okay, so the person who spent 80 years serving God and the serial killer who sincerely repents 5 minutes before death, they both get to receive eternal life. That's bullshit. God's point, right? So what God is saying here, what the people who wrote Matthew, let me trace down who actually fucking said this, right? The people who wrote Matthew are trying to tell us is that grace here is intentionally unfair. It's generosity rather than justice. It doesn't matter that it's not fair because it's generosity. And I'm like, right, explain that to the grandkids when grandma gives one grandkid $5 and another grandkid $100 and says, what, I didn't have to give you any dollars.
Right, yeah.
I mean,
it's bullshit.
Yeah.
It is bullshit.
It is bullshit. And yes, you are right, Grandma, that doesn't make you any less of a cunt.
Right. You
didn't have to give either kid any money at all. You are right. And maybe you fucking shouldn't have, you asshole, if you weren't going to be fair about it.
I think that it's possible for the gift to be the problem.
Yeah.
Like that in and of itself, that can be the problem of the situation.
Well, as long as we're talking about problematic gifts, let's see. Somebody walks into a candy shop with no money and somebody then buys him a bag full of candy. And he goes and eats it. Well, the problem there is that the guy was just coming to window shop and he didn't really need the candy because guess what? He's diabetic. You just killed him. The gift was the problem. Right?
I mean, guy probably shouldn't have eaten it if, he was diabetic.
But what if they insisted?
But yeah,
right?
Look, I'm just saying, I think
gifts are not always gifts.
I think with regard to Christianity and this fucking landowner specifically, the gift is the fucking problem.
Yeah.
Because there are differences in how people work, and there are differences in how people worship and whatever. And live and right. And this is the actual the problem is the gift here.
Yeah.
And it is a problem.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me otherwise. I'm sorry.
Yeah. If you're wanting me to be the best I can be, for a prize, for a prize instead of just because it's the right thing. Yeah, the gift is the problem.
Right.
And also the expectation of a gift.
Right.
Because, no, you should just be good for the sake of being good, not because of a promise of eternal life later and sitting in a fucking fancy throne next to Jesus.
Right. No, and that's how I view religion, is that it's the seatbelt law. Right?
No, that's my.
No, I know.
That's my story.
But it's the same way I viewed it. It's the law that says do this or else, but that's not the correct way to live. The correct way to live is to do it because.
Right.
Because it's the right thing to do.
The seatbelt law is click it or ticket, meaning you should buckle up because otherwise you'll have to pay a fine.
Right.
And it's like, no, you should buckle up because otherwise you might fly through the windshield and die.
Or kill your
passenger. Or make a mess that your children have to see your smashed skull for the rest of their life because you could not be bothered.
No, follow rules for the right reasons.
Yes.
Not because there's a gift involved.
I fucking love, because that's been my story that the seatbelt buckle.
No, and it's a great analogy, and I used it because I adopted that rule.
I fucking love that, is what I'm saying here. Like that makes me so happy that you're like, yeah, do things for the right reason. Yeah,
it's much easier to adapt to change when you look at the reasons for the good behind that change?
Yes and no. Like people a lot of times will not make a positive change, but they will make a change to avoid a negative outcome. And so a lot of times you have to do the threat instead of the carrot.
I agree with that. That's why you have to have laws. That's why you have to have things with the threat, right? But what I'm saying is that if you can wrap your head around making a change for reasons that you allow yourself to see the positive in that change, it's much easier to make that change and do it for the rest of your life. Do it for the right reasons and do it with conviction. Why
can't you just explain, hey, you should buckle up, click it or ticket, because here's why we're making that a rule. We're making that a rule because we care about your life even if you don't. And we care about the mess you will leave behind even if you don't. And we care about the passengers that you might kill even if you don't.
Right.
And the fact that you don't is why you will get a ticket.
Right.
Right? Well, that's a click it or ticket I can live with.
Absolutely. And I've always viewed religion as a fucking law that is there to keep people on a path that it's an or else. It's an or else that people have to follow in order to get to heaven, this magical place that they give you the same prize whether you started a minute ago or 25 years ago.
It's silly and childish.
It is.
I hate it. All right. So there's also this other thing. Okay. It criticizes the status competition among the disciples. If you'll recall at the end of 19 that we just finished.
Yeah. Peter, the mother begging the.
Well, Peter. No, we're not there yet.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Peter had just asked, dude, we left everything. Right.
Yeah.
Status. What the fuck? What do we get out of it? Right. So Jesus immediately follows that question in this chapter. He starts with the parable of the grapevine workers. So he's basically responding to Peter again, saying, stop calculating heavenly salaries and stop asking me what you're going to get out of this.
But hold on. Jesus in the last chapter bargained with them, basically, told them that they would have a throne to be the judges of the other 12, of the 12 tribes of Israel.
Yeah.
Which apparently we're also ditching the 12 tribes of Israel in place of Christianity. So who knows how that all works out. But who cares, right?
Yeah.
They get 12 chairs and so they get a higher level status than normal people because
But also
why?
Stop. Yeah, he is saying, on the one hand, nothing today, but I will pay you Wednesday, gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today, right?
Right.
That is what Jesus is saying. He's pulling a wimpy.
Yeah.
But then he's also saying, and also stop asking what you're going to get paid anyways.
Right. But he's also, okay. He's offered to pay the disciples, the apostles, whatever, more than a denar. What is it? What
Denarius
was it? Whatever.
Denarius.
Whatever the fuck it is. The amount of payment that he's offering to pay them more because they're his apostles. They're his disciples.
They're his Tucci gang.
Right. So they apparently get a greater prize, but it felt more like he was trying to keep his people in line as opposed, because the message is everybody gets the same fucking prize.
Right.
Except for you guys. You guys, no, I just hang on. You guys get seats.
Yeah.
You guys get the 12 seats.
You get Prime Plus.
You guys are good.
You don't just have free shipping.
But next week,
you get TV shows.
Right. But next week I'm gonna preach the same thing again.
Yeah.
Just don't forget I already gave you the 12 seats.
Yeah.
So we're good.
Yeah.
We're good. Okay? Just hang in there.
Yeah.
You get 12 seats.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he says all of this and then is basically, Peter, stop calculating heavenly salaries. Kingdom membership isn't a merit system, even though it clearly fucking is.
Right, depending on who you are, apparently.
Right, exactly. Okay, so now we're going to get into the last will be first and the first will be last.
Okay.
We touched it briefly in chapter 19, but now we're going to really get into it in chapter 20 here.
Yeah.
Okay. So, the most common interpretation of this is what you and I always thought, which is the humble are exalted, those overlooked now will be honored later, the meek shall inherit, right?
Yeah, right.
And this fits themes throughout Matthew, so it makes sense that that's how most of us would interpret it.
I feel like that's kind of the general interpretation in the world.
Yeah, it's the most common.
Right.
Yeah. There's another interpretation that says that late converts receive the same salvation as lifelong believers, and this fits the vineyard story. Okay?
Oh, okay.
You know,
all right.
the last is first and the first is last.
Interesting.
So the last showed up, but they got paid first, and the first showed up, but they got paid last. Right? So that fits the vineyard story.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Interesting.
That is interesting, actually.
Okay. Then we get into interpretation 3, which is just, that's the fucked up bullshit that I already mentioned.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what we're getting into. Okay. According to the Christian perspective, the Gentiles who have long been without God, right?
Right.
They will now enjoy all the privileges of the new covenant. And the Jews who have enjoyed all these things from the beginning,
Right.
they will now be dispossessed of them. And because they here rejected God
Yeah.
or Jesus,
Sure.
he in turn rejects them.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so my question as I'm going through this, I'm looking for answers. Isn't that kind of anti-Semitic? Like, Jesus Christ. What
Right.
the fuck?
Yeah. We
right?
just ditched all the Jewish people.
Yeah.
So.
Right? Like, okay.
Right.
What? It definitely became fuel for anti-Semitism.
Right.
But there is an important distinction before I jump to that. Yes, but calm your tits, wife.
Right.
Let us keep in mind, Jesus himself was Jewish. His disciples were Jewish. Matthew and the writers thereof were writing within a Jewish context to a Jewish audience. And originally, all of these arguments were more like an internal family dispute,
Sure.
which we mentioned.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, it is still like...
And my understanding is by the time this was written by people that knew Matthew but that aren't Matthew, that the anti-Semitism might have been a little bit real at that point. Possibly.
So I'm going to go with yeah. So over time, Gentile Christianity, of course, as we know, separated from Judaism.
Yeah.
And then the rhetoric shifted into the Jews had their chance. They rejected God through Jesus,
Right.
through rejecting Jesus.
How dare they?
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he had such great points, you know?
Yeah. So they say we are the true Israel now. And that gets into like some of the laws that we see enacted today and why Christians are so excited today because they're like, we are the new Israel.
Oh.
And yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And see, I had thought about that wrong probably most of my life, actually, because I thought it was more of a
The meek shall
kickback to...
inherit.
Well, and there was like people phrased it as Israel's going to come along, but they're going to be last. Like they're the last ones. I've heard that so many times. Like
Got it.
Israel will be the last to join, right?
Oh, okay.
Like that's how it gets interpreted a lot by people.
Right.
They're still part of the club, but they're going to be last. Like that has to do with that same phrase.
Got it.
Last will be first and the first shall be last. The first shall be last is Israel's going to be last, but they're still coming.
See, some Christians do adopt that.
Yeah.
But others say, yeah, no.
Right.
They won't be accepted at all.
There's multiple ways to interpret that.
Now
So-
that, yeah.
And that's what I was like, wow, that's really
very
interesting.
scary, terrifying, interesting.
It is. It is.
Right?
Yeah.
Because this is over 2,000 years old, and it is still something that
is very relevant.
Christians in America today are grappling with.
Yeah.
And they are grappling with it on the world stage.
Yeah.
And our laws in this country reflect some of this, and now our war machines are reflecting this ideology. And again, to answer the question, why do we talk about politics? Why are we reading the Bible? This is why. This specific phrase that I just looked into answers that question amply.
Honestly, we've been doing this almost 6 years now, right? And 6 years ago, I don't think I could have predicted how relevant this discussion would be.
No.
Because yes,
it's
yes,
amped up even since then.
It was an issue back then, right? It's been an issue our whole lives, but it's
even
ramped
in
up
6
since,
years,
yes,
it's amped up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, that phrase and understanding it and understanding what it means to certain people,
right?
I have chills.
No, and that's the scary fucking rhetoric that's coming out of our government at this point is straight out of the Bible for nefarious reasons that like you can't fully understand until you understand the backstory a little bit, right? Because a lot of this is not being done by someone like Trump doesn't understand what he's doing, but he's being pushed by people that do.
Yeah.
Right.
Your Stevens Miller or your whatever.
There's all kinds of people in the background that are pushing for reasons that are questionable at best.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was scary. I knew that would shake your boots. So that theology actually has a name. It's often called supersessionism or replacement theology.
Okay.
Which sounds awfully close to replacement theory. Jews will not replace us, that we saw the Nazis chanting.
Right.
And interesting, yes?
Yeah. The terrible shit that can come from fucking religion.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it.
It is terrible. It has always been terrible, and it's going to continue to be terrible as long as we allow it to be terrible.
Yes. So, supersession or replacement theology is the belief that the church replaced Israel, the capital C church. Yeah. You know, that term that we've seen Jesus start using?
Sure.
Replaced Israel in God's covenant. Okay. And it has contributed to centuries of anti-Jewish prejudice and persecution. And while not all Christians accept this today, it was enormously influential throughout Christian history and helped justify centuries of anti-Jewish attitudes and persecution.
Sure.
As it would.
Yeah, as it would.
Many modern churches explicitly reject supersessionism because of its historical consequences, but not nearly enough of them and not nearly loud enough for my satisfaction. I can tell you that.
Right. Yeah.
And I would like to see that more and louder.
Yeah.
Toward that end, I recently watched a video by Dan McClellan on YouTube called On Texas Requiring Bible Reading in Public Schools.
Yeah.
He went over, it's a really good video. I am going to send you the link because I very much want it attached in the show notes.
Okay.
And I want everybody, this is your homework. If you made it this far, definitely watch this video. I mean, it's shorter than 20 minutes and it's well worth the watch. He goes over the list of what was originally in 2023, I believe, the list of chapters and verses that were chosen to be read in public schools, and then the updated list that was just upheld.
Yeah.
This is the updated list.
Okay.
And he talks about how in the list, how I was so frustrated while I was watching this.
Yeah.
Like, he's saying that if they were reading from the Bible for like a comparative religion study or as a literary text, that would be one thing. But they're so clearly not, because the majority of the texts come from the New Testament, only one from the Old Testament. And they're all from different translations, depending on which one will give the picture that they're trying to paint the most. And he goes into a little bit of from the Genesis story, the interpretation that he says that the school is choosing for classrooms is utilizing a verb in the pluperfect, whatever. It's grammar, okay?
Yeah.
He's saying that, like, you know how there's two versions of the Genesis story?
Yeah.
Because there's two different authors, two different stories that were, like, meshed into one, and that scholars know this.
Right.
Well, there are some interpretations, some translations that they take a verb and change it in the second part of the story to make it better mesh with the first part. So instead of saying God planted the garden or whatever.
Yeah.
It says God had planted the garden to make it seem like that had already been done, to make because, between the two, there's different orders of when God created like light and human and animal and all that.
Right.
But when you change the verb format, it makes the two stories align in the correct order.
Got it.
That Christians want to say it happened in.
Sure.
But the Greek and the Latin have something to say.
Right. Right.
They're like, we would like a word. And that's just one of the many examples of the ways that Texas have really, they're not just forcing this, they have a clear agenda, and we can know that, but to just have him spell it out so deliberately was really worth it.
Right.
Dan McClellan's criticism in this video is that the Bible is often taught confessionally, like with the theological push, rather than historically or as a literary text. And so students aren't being taught what the text means in its ancient Jewish context. They're being taught what later Christian theology says that the text should mean, which is, what you and I have been railing against.
They're being
here.
preached to is what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like that's what they're setting up
exactly
as curriculum in our fucking Texas public schools.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
I graduated from a Texas public school, FYI.
Yeah.
Not proud, not happy.
Right.
It was already shit when I lived there.
Yeah.
And now it's just worse than it ever was.
Yeah.
So Matthew chapter 20 is a perfect case study for comparing what we're talking about here. Okay, the phrase, so the last will be first and the first last, has accumulated layers of interpretation over 2,000 years. And many Christians today would hear it as a comforting message. Yay, the humble will be rewarded.
Sure.
Or people who become Christians late in life can still be saved. There's still a chance for you. Just turn it around.
Right.
Have you found Jesus?
Yeah.
Right? And those are legitimate Christian interpretations, but they aren't the only possibilities.
Right.
Because
and honestly, based on what we've covered, not even the most likely, I would say.
Yeah.
It is very much more focused on that, the literal first and last from the way that was described, especially the way that they transition between a couple different stories.
Yes.
So like that interpretation does not sound like what it is taken as today as much.
It's being on purpose taken in a much happier, prettier way, which is still shitty in and of itself.
Sure.
Right? Because you and I were railing against, the pay. Right?
Yeah.
And we're like arguing over the wrong fucking thing here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
No, absolutely.
When Matthew was written, when the book of was written, Jesus and his followers were Jews arguing with other Jews about what God was doing through Jesus. And so if you read Matthew as a historical document, many scholars think the first and the last may reflect the tensions between those who accepted Jesus and those who didn't, particularly regarding Israel's role in God's kingdom.
Huh.
Yeah. And that's very different from reading it as simply a timeless proverb about humility.
Right.
And again, that's why we're doing this project.
It's funny because I think Christians today interpret it in a way that I didn't take at all from the message that we read.
Right?
Like there's not a single way that we read that or understood it from our study in here that correlates with how Christians view it today in general.
Right.
Like,
and even that is wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Like how we thought of it as kids is still not how Christians today take it, which is neither one of them is correct.
Right.
And that's just astounding.
Yeah.
And to know that there are people who probably understand it well and good, and they're in our leadership. Yay. So part of the problem, and this is where Dan McClellan gets into his stuff, is what happened after all of that. Okay. After all of the Jesus stuff, right?
Yeah.
As Christianity became predominantly Gentile, like no longer associated with just some Jews doing a different Jewish thing over there.
Right.
Many Christians began reading verses like this as proof that the Jews were first, but they rejected Jesus. Therefore, they became last, while Christians became God's new chosen people.
Got it.
Yeah. What's interesting is that if a curriculum teaches only the Christian devotional interpretation that God rewards the humble,
Yeah.
while omitting the verse's historical setting and its later use in supersessionist theology.
Yeah.
Students will miss both the original context and the text's real historical impact.
Right.
Both.
Yeah.
So, yay!
We're teaching fluff pieces.
It's not just that we're teaching the Bible to kids. It's that we're teaching them all the worst parts of the Bible in all the worst ways.
Right, with no context.
Yeah.
Right.
And
no, it's not great.
It's not great. It's not good, husband.
No.
Yeah. So we're going to bring it home now. We're about finished up here. But that was my favorite part right there.
Yeah.
Then we move on, and Jesus reveals the fate waiting for him. For the third time, he's like, don't forget, I'm going to die.
Yeah, right.
And then the mother of Zebedee's children, James and John, are like, she's like, can these guys sit next to you? Can they? I mean, they're already getting a throne, but could they have, like, next to you thrones?
Yeah.
And Jesus is like, fuck, right? Now, here's the thing. In one of the other Gospels that we're going to read,
yeah,
it won't be the mom that asked. It'll be the two boys themselves. The two boys, the two men.
Sure.
The two disciples saying, can we sit next to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's interesting how it got it wrong in at least one of them.
Well, what we find, what I have found reported throughout Matthew is that the book of Matthew softens. Remember, it didn't come first. It borrowed from Mark, I believe, and some of Luke.
Okay.
And it softens a lot of the this might make the guys look bad.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it was like, no, the boys didn't ask. The boys' mom asked on their behalf.
Okay.
Because she wanted. You know how bitches be, right? Yeah. So James and John clearly wished for high ecclesiastical honors.
Yeah.
Given our knowledge of how the supreme dignities in the great Sanhedrin are set up. Okay. This is interesting. The prince of the Sanhedrin sat in the midst of 2 rows of senators or elders. On his right hand sat the father of the Sanhedrin, and on his left sat the sage. These 3 transacted all businesses in the absence of the president. So the authority of this council was at some periods very great and extended to a multitude of matters, both ecclesiastical and civil. So basically she was asking, can
they have elevated privileges? Can
they be part of the leadership, not just in status, but in decision making? Sure. And Jesus is like, just so you know, as I said in my last Q&A, bullets going to fly. They're going to get hit. It's not for me to decide. It's up to my Father, who is God, who is not me, because Yahweh and Jesus are definitely 2 different entities, not the same entity. I don't care what the fuck Catholics might try to tell you. They are so fucking different. They are not the same, not the same, not the same. Right. And that is given in that it is 2 different religions. Yahweh, God, is Jewish. Jesus, quote unquote, the Son of God, is Christian.
Right.
Sorry, y'all don't get to be the same. There is no Trinity. It's not even in the Bible anyways.
Well, come on, but ice cube, vapor, and water, you know?
I'm the one that told you that.
I know.
Anyways. So, yeah, they're like, could we be big bosses and make decisions?
And Jesus is like, fuck no.
I mean, he's like, maybe. I don't know. That's not for me to say, but it's up to God, and I'm not even sure you know what the fuck you're asking.
I like how he just commands things that he wants, but then he's like, nah, I can't make a decision here.
Everything else is ambiguous. He's like, we'll see.
But Moses was wrong, for sure.
Moses was definitely wrong, but everything else, we'll see. Yeah. So then Jesus answers James and John's mom or whatever.
Sure.
When you ask for a place of special status, do you even know what the fuck you're asking? And Jesus shows that sufferings, not worldly honors, are to be the lot of his most faithful followers. So he's like, y'all gonna get hit. It's gonna suck.
Right. So if I'm gonna get hit really hard regardless because I'm a faithful follower, can I have that seat still?
Right. And he's like, only glory of God. We'll see.
Right. No, I'm saying, like, that doesn't really change their request.
Right.
You already said this is going to suck.
Yeah. And as long as it's going to suck anyways,
right.
I might as well get some gold and leadership out of it. Yeah. So the disciples react and they're like, ooh.
Right.
And then Jesus goes forth and bees Mary or whatever.
Sure.
And then he heals 2 blind men. And
because why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently in other gospels, there's only 1 blind man, not 2. But,
interesting.
We'll see.
Right.
But
it was a weird way for the chapter to end, I think.
It was really weird.
It's like, and going to heal 2 blind people.
But let's not forget, these were not set up as chapters. These were scrolls that were like ongoing.
Sure. No, I get it. I get it.
This probably like started the next chapter, actually.
Right. I got it.
Right.
It's still, it is what it is.
It's stupid is what it is.
It is. I hate
it.
The New Testament so far has been just way too... It does not adhere to the Old Testament like at all.
Right.
Unless it wants to.
It's infuriating.
But then only sometimes. And Jesus is just kind of not cool.
Jesus is he's such a fucking grifter. I never knew he was such a grifter. Like, pre-reading this, I was under the impression that he was just like this really good guy and he was like a leader and he was trying to teach peace and love. Right? Like, in my head, he was buddy Jesus. He was like a hippie. And now I know he was a grifty motherfucker. And I do not like him.
It does feel that way. Like, this doesn't sit well with me.
No.
Like, this whole book so far has been very disconcerting to me with regard to what my impression was of Jesus prior to entering the New Testament.
Since I didn't know, and I could only base it on what Christians told me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
He's not peace and love, I'll give you that.
Yeah. Not as much as I thought, for sure.
Yep.
I'm not saying there's not been a couple good messages and stuff. There have been.
But you know what? Let's be fair. Yahweh had a couple too, and some of his dudes did.
I would say the good messages are coming more frequently with Jesus than they did with Yahweh, but they're intermixed with some really shitty messages also, which are also more frequent.
And he didn't fix things for women or slaves, so I don't fucking care.
No, yeah.
You know?
All right. You got anything else for us?
I think I spoke more than enough.
All right. Well, that was our Q&A for Matthew chapters 19 and 20.
Sure as fuck was.
Which means that the next time we do an episode, we will be coming back to read what?
Little Maddie, chapter 21.
All right. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my God. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep, we have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegiousdiscourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe. Leave an Apple review. Join us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.